Okay, today we're going to focus on comparing and ordering fractions with fractions that basically have the same denominator. And we're going to use the fraction pieces as well as I'm going to draw you a model. So here it is. A group of friends, if you look at our problem, a group of friends are running a marathon. Jeremy runs 1/3 miles. Carla runs 1 2/3 miles. Brian runs 2 whole miles. Nikki runs 4/3 mile. And then it says put the friends in order from least to greatest by the distance they ran. So now I'm going to use the fraction pieces to show 1/3. This is 1/3. That is Jeremy. So I'm going to label that 1/3 as Jeremy, because not only do I have to compare the fractions, I have to remember I have to put the friends in order from least to greatest. So that's Jeremy. Excuse my handwriting. Okay, the next is Carla. Carla runs 1 2/3 miles. So that means I have to have 1 whole and 2/3 pieces. And I'll label Carla. Okay, the next is Brian. Brian runs 2 miles, so that's 2 whole pieces. And I'll label Brian. And then the last, Nikki runs 4/3 miles. So here is 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. And then 4/3. But I can exchange this piece, since it made 3/3 made 1 whole, I can exchange it for that amount. So that ends up being 1 1/3. So let me label it Nikki. Alright. So now that I have the fraction pieces to represent this one, Jeremy is 1/3, Carla is 1 2/3, Brian is 2 wholes that is, and Nikki is 1 1/3. So on the paper it says, put the friends in order from least to greatest by the distance they ran. Okay, so now I know if I look at the pieces, Jeremy is the smallest. He has the smallest piece, so he of course is running with the least. So I'll put it over here if I want to go from this end to that end. So I'll put Jeremy over here because he's running the least. Okay, then the next person. Let me compare everyone else. Let's see. The next one is Nikki, and Nikki is right here because Nikki has 1 whole and 1/3. Then the next would be Carla. I'm comparing Brian and Carla. Brian has 2 wholes, but Carla has only 1 whole and 2/3. So now I move Brian over. And then I have Carla. Okay? And then Brian is my 2 wholes. Okay, so now you can see that Jeremy has the smallest piece, 1/3. Nikki has 1 1/3. Carla has 1 2/3. And Brian has 2 wholes. So now on my paper, I have to put the friends in order from least to greatest. So that means Jeremy. And then the next one is Nikki. And then the next one is Carla. And then the last one is Brian. Okay, now I'm going to use, I know like I said before in my other video that you may not have fraction pieces, so that's why I am going to draw a model. That's I like drawing pictures anyway, for math especially. It gives me an excuse to draw. So now I'm going to go back and look at my pieces. Jeremy runs 1/3 of a mile, so now I have to draw Jeremy. Okay, my 3 is the denominator, so that means I have to break it into 3 equal parts. So, and Jeremy runs 1/3, so I shade in 1/3, and I put his name next to it. Okay, the next one is There we go with Jeremy. The next one is Carla. Carla runs 1 2/3 miles. So I need to draw Carla. So once again, one hole. And I'm going to shade in this hole. The whole thing. Well, not really perfect, but you get the idea. And 2/3. And I'll write her name. And then the next one, Brian, runs 2 miles. So he's 2 holes. And I'm going to shade in his 2 holes. And write Brian. And then the last, Nikki, runs 4/3. So write that in 2/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. But then because she runs 4/3, I have to make another hole and break it into 3 equal parts. So that would be Nikki. Okay, now I can see my visual representation, which one is the smallest. So Jeremy only has one part that is colored. So Jeremy would be first, like how I have right here. Then I cross out Jeremy so I won't get it confused. So now I can compare the other 3. Okay, this one has 1 hole and 2/3. This one is 2 holes, and this one's 1 hole and 1/3. So Nikki would be the next one in order. So there's Nikki right there, so I cross that out. So now I can compare Carla to Brian. Carla has 1 hole and 2/3, but Brian has 2 holes. So Carla is next. And then the last, of course, is Brian. Brian has the most because he has 2 holes. So hopefully using those fraction pieces and using the drawing the models will help you to be able to put the fractions in order. Like I said, this works well if the denominators are the same. The next lesson I'll present for you is how to compare and order fractions when the denominators are different.